This morning I'm going to show you how to make an immune booster anti-inflammatory smoothie. This is 1 cup of frozen pineapple, half a cup of mango, frozen also, and I have about a cup of frozen spinach. And then I have unsweetened almond yogurt, coconut water, just to get the blender going, as I like my smoothie very creamy, almost like an ice cream texture. And then I have a plant-based protein. This is totally optional. You don't have to add this, but I like how it tastes and I like to add some protein to my smoothie. So I start with the spinach. And I add about 1/3 of a cup of the coconut water. You can also use any plant-based milk instead if you don't have coconut water. And then I'll add my frozen fruit. And then I add protein. And I add about a cup of the unsweetened yogurt. I am using a Vitamix blender because it's very powerful, but if you don't have one, you're gonna have to stop in the middle of the blending and scrape the sides, and then keep blending and stop and scrape and keep blending. With the Vitamix, I'm just gonna use the stamper, I think is what it's called, and I'm gonna constantly be pushing everything down until it's all blended.
Hello friends, Anna here. Welcome to our kitchen. I'm excited to share this dish with you today. It's packed with antioxidants, it's nutritious, it's hearty. No matter the season, we probably have this dish once a week in our family. And it's a combination between a chana masala dish and a chickpea curry. And you'll see why. We combine multiple spices in this recipe. So let's start with the ingredients that we use for it. Now I have 3 cans of chickpeas, garbanzo beans. I prefer usually to, boil my own. If I have the time, I like to soak a bunch, and then the next morning, you boil them and then store them in the freezer. However, when I don't have that and I run out like I did right now, you can use canned ones. And I buy these at Costco. They're good. They have non-BPA lining and they're organic. So we're gonna use 3 of these. And then we're going to use 1 can of tomato sauce, as well as 1 can of coconut milk, which we also get at Costco. Now, for the veggies, we like to put in peppers in this dish. Red peppers, they're full of vitamin C. They're great for you. So I cut up about 2 large red peppers. And then here we have 1 yellow onion that I chopped up. Tears were shed. Here I have a lot of different garlic cloves. You can use, as much as you like. The more the better. And I also peeled a piece of ginger, fresh ginger. Now these are going to be grated or crushed into the dish as well. These are probably some of the most powerful antioxidant-filled foods that we were given, and they're great to use, all year round. It keeps your immunity on point. So now here I have the spice mix. I like to use for the spices, I do use some salt. Use it to your discretion, as salty as you like. Now, the two key ingredients for the spices are these two packets here, actually. When I went vegan, I wanted to experiment with different tastes of the world. And I'm blessed to live pretty close to this Mediterranean market down on Roosevelt Road. And so when I walked in there, you know, there was an explosion of different flavors that I've never tried before, and I was really excited. And these two packets, I bought them about a year ago or so, I think, maybe a little more. And they contain a pre-mixed spice mix, basically. So this one is called garam masala powder, and this one is Madras curry powder. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing them right. I'm probably not, but they basically contain the pre-mixed, you know, multiple spices like coriander and curry, and this one has cinnamon as well. And so I use 1 tablespoon of each. If you would like to make your own spice mix with the ingredients that you have, the spices you have at home, I'm going to include in the document a how to make these powders with the spices that you may have at hand. And then I have ground turmeric. I use about 1 tablespoon. This is also very powerful and has a lot of antiviral properties. And I combine it with black ground pepper because it helps absorption of the turmeric in your body. And as well as some crushed red pepper. We like our food somewhat mildly spicy in our family, but use it at your discretion again, just like oil and, you know, the hot pepper. As oily or as hot you like it, you can make it that way. And so these are the ingredients, the main ingredients, as well as some, cilantro that I have in the sink currently soaking in the water. I'm gonna chop it up and add it at the end of the recipe. So let's join me at the stove and we'll see the process. Now once the pan is heated, I drizzle a little bit of oil and start crushing the garlic as well as the ginger. I let that fry for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes on medium heat. And then I toss in the onion. Once the onions have caramelized, about 2 or 3 minutes later, I add the spice mix. Mix it well and let it fry for another 2 minutes or so. Now once your house starts smelling quite lovely, I add some red peppers to the mix and let that sit for another few minutes until they become a bit more tender. Next, I throw in the chickpeas, the tomato sauce, as well as the coconut milk. I mix it really well and I cover the pan and I let that soak in everything for a good at least 10 to 15 minutes on low to medium heat. After 10 to 15 minutes, mix the sauce pretty well and then add some black pepper to it. Cover it and let it simmer for another 15 minutes or so under the cover. And yeah, you'll notice when it's ready by the tenderness of the peppers and the onions. Another variation of this you could add, if you would like some more protein, you can always cube some tofu in here, extra firm tofu, and add it about now towards the end of the cooking and let it soak all the flavors. It smells so good. This has been cooking for about 30 minutes now on medium heat. And the last thing that I like to do is add some greenery to this. And here I have a big bunch of cilantro that I'm going to throw in here and mix well. After which I will turn off the heat and put the cover on and just let it sit there for another 10 minutes or so before you can enjoy it. And it's great with quinoa or rice or really anything that, you know, rice noodles. It's absolutely delicious. Look at these colors. Such a blessing. I hope you guys enjoy I hope you try this out, and I hope you like it. Thank you for joining me.
Friends, I'm coming to you from my own kitchen. Some of you are met to some of our presentations that we had before on our cooking classes, and I want to welcome you back. Even though circumstances don't allow us to be together, I'm glad that we could share some of the good things and good foods that can help us boost our immunity and stay healthy through this summer and, you know, hopefully winter when it comes. So today I'm going to talk about kale and make a sauteed kale dish that we do at home all the time. Kale became superfood a few years ago, and it remains. It's really very highly nutritious, high in antioxidants, and very tasty. There are different kinds of kale, and we have the plain green, then the red one, and then the one that is a little bit more rough, lacinato kale. This one, it's really used to use in dishes that you cook and that you saute. The other two can be used easily in a salad, fresh salad. They just need to be very thinly sliced. I use the green one a lot, and then just add red onion and a good homemade salad dressing, where I add, you know, with olive oil, lemon, salt, I add a lot of nutritional yeast flakes, and it gives a really nice taste. But what we are going to use today with the kale, I'm going to add another two super foods. That's just tomatoes and garlic. We'll season, use some olive oil, and that's it. I will have to write down the recipe because I did not have one. It's one that I just came up when I tried to do something fast, and mom of 3 kids and working, you know, you need to do something fast. Another thing for summer, I like a lot of fresh salads and dishes, or if we cook, I don't like to spend a lot of time in the kitchen and heat up the whole house, or, you know, waste time if I could be outside. So this is really quick dish that will be nutritious side dish for a whole family. You can use it with potatoes or rice or pasta. Something we make gnocchi, and that is our side dish. You can use the fresh kale. You would use probably a whole bunch, and fresh tomatoes, probably 1 to 2 per taste. But today I'm just going to show you the quick way with a already pre-cut kale in a bag and a can of tomatoes. They can be just plain or they can be seasoned. These are basil, garlic, and oregano. We'll use some olive oil. It can be again fresh garlic, or you can use the little cubes that you can buy either in Pete's Market or Trader's Joe. And you could use 2 to 3 according to taste, a little salt. And then if you have some vegetable seasoning, the one that I use, it's from my country, it's called Vegeta, it's Vegeta, and I try to buy the one without MSG, and it's really good tasting, and a little water. So let's get started. We will preheat to medium heat. Just sprinkle a little oil, drizzle. And add some water just to coat the bottom. And then according how much you want, you can use the whole bag. I buy the things that they say they're pre-washed and ready to be cooked. So there is no need for another washing. And you can always fill up the dish. The kale, like spinach and some other greens, will always reduce in cooking. So if you think this is a lot, it will come down a lot. We'll just add a little more water. And I First, just let it cook a little bit so it can reduce. And then we add a whole can. We add our garlic. We eat a lot of garlic. It's really good. It's antibacterial, antiviral. It helps with the blood pressure issues to lower it. So this is a little salt, a little vegeta. And pretty much that's it. You let it steam for maybe 5 to 7 minutes. I don't overcook. I don't want it to be all, loose and, wilted. So we cook it, I mix it up, and that's it. It's a dish ready to be served alone or as a side dish to anything you want. So I hope you have a good summer. You stay healthy and keep cooking healthy foods so you can be happy and vibrant. See you next time.
Hello, I'm going to be showing you how you can make this delicious sweet potato power bowl for breakfast, as a snack, or dessert. So, main ingredients are our sweet potatoes. And the rest of these ingredients are really up to you because they're toppings of choice. I'm going to be showing you what I personally use and think is the best combination with this bowl. I'm going to be using strawberries and blueberries. They are my favorite combination for this bowl. I love strawberries. They are my happy fruit. They lift your mood, leave your skin feeling glowy, and are just delicious. And blueberries full of antioxidants and just go perfectly with strawberries. And then I'm going to be using pumpkin seeds, very valuable nutrients, very high in magnesium. Cinnamon sugar for some extra sweetness and cinnamon flavor, a lemon, but I'm just going to be using half of it, almond butter for some flavor and protein, chia seeds that are full of omega-3, iron, and calcium, and then honey for some extra sweetener. And if you're making this bowl for dessert for your sweet tooth, I recommend using the non-dairy almond milk whipped cream, or you can use coconut, yogurt, whatever. The creaminess on top of it just completes it, in my opinion. So to make this bowl, we bake our sweet potato. Make sure you wash them thoroughly. I already did that with mine here. And you're going to cover them in tin foil. You don't have to do it this way. You can just place them on a baking sheet, drizzle olive oil, bake in there for 45 minutes to an hour. But I just like to kind of cover them up and just leave them there and take them out. I actually pre-made my sweet potatoes so that I could just get right into it. Here they are, already baked. They should look like this. Should look like this, like a regular baked potato. So as you can see, I put my sweet potato in this bowl. It's nice and hot, the skin is crispy, and I'm just going to cut it in half. And I like to just mash the sides like that so that our toppings can fit in there and kind of mix inside. Now, sweet potatoes are highly nutritious. They're a great source of fiber, vitamins, and minerals. They promote gut health from the fiber in it and antioxidants. And they have tons of vitamin A that you need to consume daily. And most importantly, help strengthen your immune system. We got our sweet potato all mashed. And I already washed my berries and I'm ready to cut them. So I'm only going to be using a couple strawberries and a handful of blueberries. Next, I'm going to squeeze in my lemon, wash it, and cut it in half. just a little bit in here, like this. Then I'm going to add a little bit of honey. I'm going to take our almond butter. Give it a stir because all the oils are like on top. I'm gonna go in with a sprinkle of chia seeds. And then we're gonna add our berries. And then I'm gonna take some coconut flakes. And granola. And lastly, use our cinnamon sugar and sprinkle a dash of that on top. And just for some extra ness, like that. And then lastly, my favorite part, whipped cream. And there you got your dessert bowl.
Hi everyone, I'm Sharina and I'm going to be spending a few minutes talking about a Thai soup called Tom Yum. Now, I know what you may be thinking, it's hot outside, it's summer. Why do we want to talk about making a hot soup? But let's be real, it's cold here about 65% of the year. So if you don't enjoy soup any time of the year, you know, like myself, then you can always tuck the recipe away for later. Before we get into the preparation of the actual soup making, let's talk about some of the immune system boosting benefits of 4 or 5 of the key ingredients in the soup. Really quickly, let me bring up a star, garlic. It's a staple, right? Now, because of the high sulfur, oh, I apologize. My air conditioning just kicked on, speaking of it being summer. Hopefully you can still hear me, but garlic has a lot of sulfur, and because of the sulfur, it helps our bodies to better absorb zinc, which gives our immune system a bit more of a boost. Plus, it has a lot of selenium in it, like our next ingredient. Now, this is Shanghai Bok Choy. Oh, it's a little floppy. It's sad, but it's okay. This is Shanghai Bok Choy. In the store, you'll probably either see one of 2 or maybe both of the common versions of bok choy. The other version is, I think it's called tall bok choy, not very creatively named, but it has a darker stem, or a darker leaf, my apologies, kind of like spinach when it's cooked, and the stem is paler, almost white, and it's also taller. Go figure. But bok choy, similar to garlic, has a lot of selenium, and selenium can help boost or stimulate the production of killer T cells in the body. Killer T cells are the white blood cells that are tasked with the job of making sure to get rid of any damaged or cancerous cells inside of the system. Plus, like garlic and the rest of our ingredients, it's an anti-inflammatory and it has a lot of antioxidants. And we want those antioxidants because those are our main weapons against being able to fight or prevent, slow, anything along those lines, free radical damage in the system or in our bodies. Now, those are those 2. Let me talk about lemongrass. This is lemongrass, if you're not familiar with it. It probably looks like a mini leek or spring onion, but honestly, it feels a bit more like bamboo. It's very tough in and of itself, and so we'll talk about what it's like to cook with this in a few minutes, but really quickly, a couple of the best benefits in my eyes with lemongrass is, 1, it helps with detoxification. It's a really good diuretic, and so you'll probably see this more so in teas than soups, but you can use it for either. Plus, it is chock full of vitamin C, very similar to our wonderful leafy green vegetable bok choy over here. So that is lemongrass. And then lastly, I want to talk about, well, 2. There's ginger, our first ingredient. I apologize if you can't see much. I use most of it to make the soup itself, and I forgot to leave some for filming, but we'll survive. It's all fine. So ginger is one of the options for the soup, but primarily what people typically use to make tom yum is something that looks like ginger. It's called galangal. If you can't find galangal at an international or Asian supermarket, that's fine. You can still use ginger, but if you can find galangal, I would opt to use that instead because ginger has a bitter taste to it, whereas galangal has more of a citrusy, piney flavor, which lends itself really well to making the soup. Now, ginger and galangal, they're both anti-inflammatory. They both have a lot of antioxidants. Ginger is known for helping with like some muscle soreness or alleviating a bit of nausea. If you ever feel that, you can throw some in tea or simply have the soup. But also, or on the flip side, galangal is known for similar effects, but more particularly, more uniquely, antimicrobial effects. I had no idea until I looked it up, but it turns out that it's very good at combating very specific bacteria that's known to commonly infect foods, such as E. coli and salmonella. Now, given all of this, the soup's pretty healthy, but it's also very easy to make. So let's talk a bit about actually making the soup. What you'll want to first do is make sure you have enough stock, vegan, vegetable, what kind of stock you would like. Now, after I became vegan, I've noticed that there aren't really a lot of really great broths out there, so I like to make my own broth using bouillon cubes instead. This brand is Edward & Sons. I think I got this at Whole Foods, yeah, but typically I'll also get Better Than Bouillon, I can't remember the last brand, so I just won't mention it. But these brands, they have vegan and I believe gluten-free. This one is at least gluten-free. Brands that are suitable for vegan or gluten-free diets. And so I like to use this. It helps me control the flavor a bit more, and also the pre-made stocks at the store I find taste a bit too watered down for my taste. So you'll make your stock, and then, oh, I forgot one of the ingredients because I already used all of it up, but we'll be adding chili peppers or red chili peppers to the recipe. If you don't like chili that much, just add one, or you can opt for none, but I'll talk about combating the spiciness in a little bit. So once you have your broth ready, you put it in a pot, a soup pot, you'll want to go ahead, oh no, not that one. You'll want to go ahead and add your galangal or your ginger, whichever one you have, your garlic, we'll pretend that I'm holding a chili pepper, your chili pepper, one at least. If you like more, you can add more, whatever you want to do. And then you'll want to add lemongrass. Now, typically lemongrass is minced in this recipe. I don't mind finding minced lemongrass. It's a bit tougher in my soup, but some people really don't like it. If you are one of those people and you don't really want to find something that's on the crispier, harder to chew side, you can't just swallow it down, you can always, instead of mincing your lemongrass, cut this into thirds, cut your stalks into thirds or halves, and then make sure you crack the actual stem, especially the bottom, as this is where most of the aroma and the flavor comes from. And you'll know you've succeeded because you'll be able to smell it. If it's bigger, you can always fish it out later rather than serving it in the soup later on, but this is up to your preference. I typically mince mine. So once you've added all of these ingredients into the pot, you'll boil it for about 5 minutes, or at least until the broth starts to become very aromatic. After that point, if you like mushrooms, you can go ahead and add your mushrooms in and let it cook for about 5 to 8 minutes, or however long it takes for it to soften. I don't like mushrooms, so if you're like me, you can skip that step. Ooh, my apologies. I was choking on my saliva for a second. Can't breathe it. I forgot. Now, after you've already made the rest, or after you've made the broth and it's ready, it's been flavored with the other ingredients that we just mentioned, you'll go ahead and add your chopped bok choy and some cherry tomatoes for additional vitamins, minerals, and also to make it look a bit more colorful. And then you'll let that simmer. You'll reduce the heat to low. Let it simmer for a few minutes because you want the bok choy to remain on the crispier side. You don't want it to overcook. Once you've done that, let's talk about the spiciness. So I added a bit too much chili to my soup, and so I needed to add coconut milk in order to calm down the kick. If you don't want to add coconut milk, that's fine. It is an optional ingredient in this recipe, but I also just like the creaminess of the soup. I feel like it gives it a bit more of a personality in its taste profile. So I will always add, well, not always, but I'll typically add coconut milk to mine. And of course, any brand, it shouldn't really matter. I don't really like to go for any that are light because they remove some of the density of the coconut milk, and I don't particularly like that, but you find what works best for you. So at that point, once you've added the vegetables, once you've added the fruit or the tomatoes and the bok choy, that's when you'll want to season it. So you'll add the coconut milk if you want, but you'll also add lime juice, tamari, or soy sauce if you don't have tamari, and a sweetener. I like to use coconut palm sugar as it's low glycemic, but also it's really good at sweetening something without overpowering it. So if you don't want to overpower it, I would recommend using coconut palm sugar. I found this one at Walmart, and as you can tell, I'm pretty happy with it because there's nothing left. So you'll add that, and then you'll want to taste test that. Make sure that it's to your liking. If you want it saltier, add more tamari or soy sauce. If you want it on the savory side, palm sugar, and of course, if you want it more citrusy, which I really like in my soup, more lime juice. And then, really, once you've stirred that, and if you want tofu as well, you would add the tofu at that point. You would let it sit for a few minutes. You don't have to simmer it anymore, but let it sit so that the tofu can absorb the flavors, and then it'll be ready to serve. Now, let me go ahead and show you what the finished product looks like. Okay. That did not work out. My apologies for my bad cinematography. But here is a finished product of the soup. And then once you're done, you can always garnish it with some fresh basil or fresh cilantro, and then it'll be ready for consumption. All right, thanks for tuning in.
Hello everyone, my name is Marzena. Today I would like to show you my favorite recipe made of black beans and veggies. You can easily prepare everything. It's very simple, but it's very nutritious. You can use this for summer picnic or lunch to work or just for a family dinner. For my salad, I use cooked black beans, lettuce, some onion. We can use also green onion. I use right now a red onion. Diced tomatoes, avocado, parsley or cilantro. So this is our base for black bean salad, but we can add to the salad any other vegetable we have in the house that day. For example, we can use broccoli, cauliflower, kale, radish. Today I decided to add some cucumbers and green and red pepper. For every good salad, we need great dressing so salad will taste delicious. I usually make my own, but you can use whatever you like. I start always with a nutritional list, some lime or lemon juice, some oil, salt and pepper of course, garlic, I use this time smoked paprika, apple cider vinegar, and sometimes I add veggies. If you don't have veggies at home right now, we can use avocado instead. As you could see, this salad is very simple and you can prepare it in no time. What is even more important, it is very nutritional. Nutrients are chemical components in our food which are used to build, maintain and repair our bodies. Eating nutritional food is especially important when our body needs to fight any kind of infection. I hope you will enjoy preparing and eating this amazingly delicious salad.